Well, hello guys, how we doing?
Hello, how are you, mate?
Good.
Good.
Good. Obviously, it's a bit early days. Obviously, no one's here yet, but we can just kick off the conversation. People can watch back later on, I guess. So first question for both of you guys. Just take it one at a time, obviously. So how did you both get into reptiles?
Go on, Harry.
All right. I got into reptiles. So my mum's cousin always had reptiles. So when I was younger, I always used to go around his. And then finally, for my 4th birthday, I got a leopard gecko. And then from there, just carried on keeping. I think I got my first snake when I was 10, something like that. 11. It's children's python, and then just carried on from there.
Sick.
Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Josh?
me was basically from same as Harry, from as early as I can remember, from apparently about age 2, I was just obsessed with lizards, snakes. I remember watching this video of Komodo dragons. I must have been about 3. It's one of my earliest memories. And it's just obsession from that point. I guess kind of like kids get into dinosaurs. I just missed the dinosaur boat.
Yeah.
No, I was pretty much the same. Just start off with a bearded dragon, then a 2, then a berm, then a V6, then just spiraled on from there, really.
It spiraled very quickly.
Yeah, age 6, I think. Age 6, 7, I got a leopard gecko. And then I think solid. I don't think I've ever been without reptiles since then.
Yeah, same.
Like 28 years.
28 years. Whoa.
Yeah, I'm at 20.
28 years.
Obviously, going into this conversation, we're going to be talking about a lot of, I think maybe controversial topics to talk about. But, people see that as controversial. Some people may see it not. But truthful conversation about things, you know what I'm saying? So obviously, guys, break down a little bit. So, boys, you could tell me, what are your top 3 snakes?
Go on, Josh, you go first on this one.
Oh, top 3. Damn. So, green anaconda is number 1. So that was my first introduction to snakes. My uncle always kept green anacondas. So from a very early age, I was sort of in at the deep end, dealing with green and yellow annies. Seen both species in the wild as well. Kept both species. Bred yellow anacondas. Been part of breeding green anacondas with my uncle. And done. Just been around them my whole life. Got massive respect for them.
Misunderstood.
Very misunderstood. Don't really enjoy keeping them at the minute, if I'm totally honest. Just because of the space demand, and I'd like to be able to do it one day with really deep water and be able to see them underwater. But until that point, I'm kind of over it. And I still interact with them because my uncle still keeps them. So that's number 1. Number 2, at the minute, it's going to have to be like the whole Somalia genus. So scrubbies, all the localities, all the species. And I'm just into them at the minute. And then number 3 is a tough one. There's loads of snakes that I think are cool, that they're fairly obvious. Like, I love gaboon vipers. I love the whole Naja family. Obvious ones like king cobra, but I'm gonna have to say African rock python, just because I've had my Afrock for so long. Harry had my Afrock for
so long as well. Like 3 years. It's supposed to be 3 weeks. It ended up being 3 odd years.
So he's again another really misunderstood species, and I think a really impressive species. If you've ever dealt with retics or berms or Indian pythons, but you haven't dealt with an Afrock, then you probably should give it a go, because I think that the muscle density is just different, in my opinion. I think because of the prey that they're dealing with, the attitude and the strength on them is just different. And so that'd be my top 3.
Apparently, also with the African rock pythons, their teeth are really big, aren't they? Is that correct, or was that fast?
So my big Afrock, I've had one bite off him as an adult, as a little shoelace, obviously, plenty of nips, but as an adult, one bite to the face. Wasn't that bad?
No.
No, it wasn't. It was.
So, like conceptions of this picture where it's got his mouth on a fence. Is that true, or is it like?
Oh, I've seen that picture.
Yeah,
I think that's edited. I'm not 100%, but I think that's edited. That's an old picture, isn't it?
I'd say of the big snakes, I've had like hematomas off green anacondas, but they're still they don't hurt that much. They hit hard. All these snakes hit hard, but I think retic's probably the one when you get
when they
a
slash,
bite off a big
they bite to slash, isn't it? A male in breeding mode. That's the worst one.
Yeah. They're not the ones.
No.
But yeah, I mean, feeding bites off any of these things are horrible. But if it's just a case of an upset snake, then
I had a anaconda that was she was really young. She was under a year, and every time you went near her, it was just that and it was like. But she was a lovely snake, like, you know what I mean? Now, my friend obviously taken her now, and she was a lovely snake. Eat anything you put in front of her. They might have just eaten as well.
They're just... I think there needs to be some, like, educational videos for people that want to keep anacondas, just about the simplicity of how to pick them up.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you use a hook, or as soon as you put a glove on, you've lost the battle.
Yeah.
It's like you put a glove on, you're immediately too rough with them because you're overconfident. So you go in and you pick them up a bit hard, and they just don't like it. You go in with a hook and they feel vulnerable. They don't like it. If you go in gentle, block the head so you're not getting tagged as soon as you pick it up, and just scoop them. So from underneath, scoop them up, and then gently bring them towards you and start handling by supporting as much body weight as possible. Then they're really easy to deal with. But as soon as you start pulling them about, take hits left, right, and centre.
I think the thing of they can strike all different angles is what puts people off as well. That's definitely puts people off.
Those weird sideways strikes.
Like the yellow I had, she could turn her head on a dime and go backwards, like you saying. Like they're very agile snakes.
For the size of them,
for the size of the snake as well, especially the prey they eat on as well in the wild. They're still agile. I think they are like my favorite being a snake. I'd never be able to own a green anaconda because the mass of the size of the thing, but I think they are very misunderstood.
They are misunderstood, and they're just like, obviously on land they're just a lump, and they're kind of cumbersome. But then you see those videos, people diving with them underwater,
and
they're just so majestic. Like, did you see the Dutch guy, Freak Vonk, diving with that massive one in Benito?
No.
Was that the northern one, or was that?
No, I think it was Benito, so it would have been southern. But that you know that paper's been revised apparently.
Oh, has it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's been some revision on it. I haven't actually read it, so I can't. But I was talking to my uncle about it, and he said there's been some revision. They basically think the southern and the northern females get the same size.
Oh, right, but it's the males.
The males are drastically different.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
like the biggest ones I've seen, biggest greens I've seen are southern ones.
Mm.
They're all in Bonito in the Pantanal.
Mm.
yeah, I wanted to get out to Southern America.
Do
Like,
it. It's honestly, it's the best thing you'll ever do.
yeah,
It's insane. It's so good.
I'm
So
gonna
good.
I think maybe we can try a group trip at some point.
Yeah.
If you already
It's a big trip.
around, but
For sure.
anyway, Harry, going back to your top 3.
First off, for me, is an easy one. Papuan pythons. I just absolutely adore them. They're insane. It's just to think about them in the wild eating scrub pythons, which are big bad snakes in their own right. For them to be eating those is just mind blowing. And pound for pound, I don't know scientifically if it's true, but for me, for anything that I've ever dealt with, which is most of the big snakes, they are by far the strongest pound for pound. They're ridiculously strong.
What's this?
If that Papuan python, so
Oh yeah,
Apador Papuana, yeah, they're the bulldog heads on them. They're just insane, and they go through 3 different color changes in a day. You go through there and go and look her 3 different times in the day, and she's different shades of green and stuff, and they're just insane. They take so long to get sexually mature. They're up to like, I think the youngest they've been bred is something like 8 years, but it's more like 10, 12 years. And then it's just the stress of putting them together because obviously cannibalistic is not fun. But yeah,
with
they're
snakes
just,
in that part of the world.
yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, there he is. We lost him for a second. There we
He's
go.
back. Yeah, so they're definitely number 1 for me. I'm probably similar with Josh. I'm really not losing the love, but I'm just not as interested anymore as keeping snakes as I used to be. But that's one that I'll for sure always keep. I'll always make sure I have at least one of them. Yeah, they're just the nuts. Secondly, boring and well, not boring, but to go same with Josh, green anaconda. I love them. They're just I've always been around them. My friend Ethan, who introduced me to the proper serious reptile keeping when I was younger, he had one and I was just in awe with it. And then obviously being mates with Josh and going to his uncles and seeing the insanity that he's got, I've never been so my mouth was on the jaw, on the floor. That was ridiculous. That thing. She's so cool, so cool. Third is a hard one. I would say probably more going down the venomous route. I'd say maybe a manchang. I love them. I love them. They're ridiculous. They're so cool. So cool. If I was to have a DWA snake, I would have a manchang. That would definitely be the one. They're just ridiculous. So cryptic. So there's not loads known about them. Get to a decent size. Unbelievably pretty. Yeah, I love them. Really cool snakes.
Yeah, if I was to have top 3, I'd probably go all down the venomous route. I do like the Mangchang. I love the Insularis as well. It's just you don't see many blue animals in the wild.
No, I like blue stuff.
And also, I definitely have King Cobra if I had the choice.
Yeah, a nice, really high orange Malaysian one.
Yeah, one of those bad boys.
Yeah, nice.
But
yeah, do you know what Crotalus, like even an Atrox, like just some rattlesnakes are good fun.
Yeah.
Ethiopian mountain vipers as well. I love them. Really cool.
But so this brings us on to the next question, actually, because I think it's been a good topic to talk about. So we get up. So what is it about reptiles that you both like compared to other animals?
Who wants to go first? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I think my obsession with reptiles led me into an obsession with nature in general. So everything I do now is like either animals or plants. But I think the reptiles captivated me because they're just perfect from birth. Like they hatch or they're born and they're just perfect little miniature, amazing little dinosaurs. And the complexity of the way they look, the behavior, the way they move, there's just something I've always found captivating about them. And I think being able to appreciate them has made it easy to appreciate everything else as well.
Yeah,
and I feel like people don't get it, just aren't looking properly.
Yeah. I back everything up there that Josh said. And the self-sufficientness of them, of again when they're born, I just think it's so cool that we have to be looked after for the first 10 15 years of your life, whereas then within 2 minutes of them hatching, in general terms, obviously there's some exceptions, but in general terms they're on their own, which I think's amazing. And it's, for me as well, it's like compared to, I don't know, keeping some mammals, not all mammals, but some mammals, it's almost impossible to replicate what they need and what they have in the wild. Whereas I'm not saying we are 100% doing that in captivity, but I feel like we're getting closer to that and it's easier to do so with reptiles than it is with a lot of other species, I think.
That's
so
a very
moral
good
compass
point.
sort of thing.
Yeah. I think on that captivity level, anytime I go to the zoo, like I haven't enjoyed, definitely the larger mammals in zoos I haven't enjoyed for a long time. But fish, reptiles and bugs, like I generally come away feeling good. I come away feeling like, oh, that enclosure was amazing. Like there's always something I can take from, if you go to like a half decent zoo, you generally come away feeling like, I do anyway, like they've done the enclosure naturalistically, the animals got space to hide, places to explore, climbing options. Like it just feels like Harry says, it's doable. We can do a fairly good job of replicating the environment. That in itself.
Sorry, mate.
That's all good. Yeah, I think that is a big side of it is the actual enjoyment of being able to replicate the environments, get the husbandry side of it.
It's as much about the enclosure as it is about keeping the animal. It's almost, I've got to the point now personally where it's like I'm doing the enclosure and then the animal fits into that rather than putting an animal in an enclosure, if that makes sense.
Definitely, yeah. But obviously, I was explaining to you earlier that we're planning to do, the outbuilding at some point. With, with the larger animals we're going to, and they'll have space to move, space to pass, space to hide.
But regulate, very important thing, isn't it?
As you know, for yourselves, you keep large animals. We get onto that later. But Vivs you got off the shelf, they don't cut it.
Nah.
Unfortunately, no.
But, even for smaller stuff, I just think those standard sizes of like 15 inches, 18 inches, or 24 inches tall, for most things is not enough.
No, it's really not. Even a royal python, they'll use, if you give them a 3-4 foot high Viv, they'll use.
Yeah, so actually going on to that, we've got a question in the comments. So I'll let you two answer this one. So Ben's asked, massive enclosures with small animals or massive enclosures with big animals?
That's a good one. So for me, a bit of a cop out, I'd go massive enclosure with medium animals.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did when I started getting into it properly, I had a pair or a trio actually of blue tree monitors, and I built them. Well, I got someone, Chris Peterson doesn't do it unfortunately anymore, but he was the man. He built some unbelievable enclosures, and I had everyone was like, "Oh, you can keep him in a 6x4x2," and I was like, "That's not enough." And then I put they were supposed to. They unfortunately died. They had I had a post-mortem done on them, and they all had congenital heart problems. So they were born with heart problems, died within 8 months of being alive. But I had the enclosure ready for them, and they were going to go straight into an 8x4x6, which is obviously massive for tree monitors. So I can see the appeal of it, but to have a massive enclosure with a big animal isn't really feasible, to be fair, for most people. It's like I co-owned that Asian water monitor with my friend Ethan, and yeah, he was 8 foot and in a 14 by, was it 14 or 16? I can't remember. By
It was
6x6, big enclosure, nowhere near big enough, nowhere near big enough. And I said to myself, I'm not going to keep them unless I can give them something like a 40x20.
Yeah.
But yeah,
which then makes it a massive enclosure for a tiny animal in effect. Like,
yeah.
you want, I think the goal is you want to be like, oh, where's the animal? Like, you want to have
Camp Kennan with his Asian water monitor, that sort of thing. That's an insane enclosure.
Yeah. That is the dream. Like I saw a guy with rough scale pythons in like it looks like maybe a 8x6x2, and they're lost in there, but it's amazing.
They'll
Is
use
nice.
it still. They'll use it
they're
still.
using all of it.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I'm going to be a cop out as well. I'm going to say the same as Harry. I do plan to give the most space I can with my animals. And so obviously we are probably moving house in the next year, but for now they'll be in reasonably big enclosures. So
yeah, no.
I think that's the realistic dream. I think in the UK, like, we haven't got American style space, we haven't got German style space. You know, we've got to do the best with what we've got on our properties.
we also don't have
I think
the Floridian weather, do we? So
yeah.
I'm looking out my window and it's peeing down outside. So.
Yeah, same as that.
I was standing outside, but come inside for a shelter.
So yeah, the Ben's also said that his goal is to make his animals look smaller in their enclosures, which is brilliant.
Yeah, exactly that. That is summed up perfectly.
Like, obviously, we strive for our animals the best. Some people can't do it. Like like you say, with the Royal Pythons, like, they live up in the trees in the wild. They live up in rock faces in Africa. They don't live in these termite mounds. You know what I mean? Well, they may be, but I never seen a documentary.
They more just lay their eggs there, don't they? That's where they nest.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where it was. I think Reptiles of Research posted a video on YouTube. I don't know where it was, but it was an exhibit, and it was like a big exhibit. It was Royal Python in it, and it was sat right at the top.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that these animals do live in trees in the wild.
Same with your Bosk monitor as well. That's another thing that people don't realise. They're
and I've added all those branches in.
Oh, have you? Has it made a difference?
Yeah, he's always up. Like,
good.
I've also added, like you said, swimming as well. They like to swim. I've added like a tub this big.
Nice.
And he goes in there and he swims around, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's brilliant to see. Like, obviously after your advice, and you're noticing all these changes in the animal.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I've got the baby white throats are in a 4 foot high, and they're always up, always at top.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think that's going to see his white throat at some point. So yeah, going into the conversation about enclosures, actually. So obviously you both build your enclosures, and obviously we just spoke about it briefly, but obviously I reckon it's better than buying off the shelf, because it probably 100%. Is. Like, so if you guys want to explain how you do yours, and
go on. Do you want me to go, or do you want to go?
Over way.
Yeah, I'll go. I've got the fortunate situation of having Chippy as a brother, so get him in on the bigger projects. But I've got my white-throat monitor enclosure is actually a converted shed. Well, it was
Sick.
like a summer house that was already there. Solid structure, and we just insulated the inside, recladded the outside, and then recladded the inside with OSB, a new roof on it, and then buffer on the front. So it's got like a little storage shed on the front, which then also acts as an extra heat control, and then a little vent on there with a fan for ventilation. And yeah, that's kind of a quick
Just,
and effective way of making use of a building that you've already got.
How we doing, Paul? Good evening.
Evening, Paul. Anytime, mate. You come anytime.
Yeah, well,
I know he wants one as well.
Free left.
I sent him some pictures the other day, little keys. But yeah, that's kind of, I think, you know, if you can use what you've got, if it's possible to make use of an existing outbuilding by, you know, doing a bit of mending and a bit of customizing, then great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I've got a whole other outbuilding which is custom made. It's got concrete floor and yeah, basically fabricated with OSB Kingspan. It's got a rubber roof on it, which Harry wasn't impressed with.
No, it wasn't. It's not a good one, mate. Not a good roof.
I don't know what's going on with your audio, but you're kind of quiet, Josh.
Oh, sorry, mate.
That's all right.
Let me come out here.
Yeah, that's better. And Ben's just going to invite himself. But
yeah, building big enclosures is expensive. Like the cost of timber at the minute, the cost of insulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real labour of love. Yeah, my Aldabran enclosure, I'm not actually sure what the dimensions have ended up at. It's about 5 meters by 3.5, maybe 3.5, maybe 4 meters, by 2 meters tall. And they look small in it at the minute. They look tiny, but in 10 years' time, they probably.
What's this? Your Aldabras?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your AirPods might have died according to Ben.
Yeah, you've gone quiet.
That's weird. All right, 2 secs. How's that?
That's loads better,
isn't it?
Hey. Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you're talking about your Aldabras. Definitely, that's come and see those. I love an Aldabra.
Yeah, welcome anytime. But yeah, I don't know how that you heard, but just talking about enclosure size and the struggles of keeping these things well enough. And yeah, cost.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
I think that the Aldabran enclosure, which also has an anaconda enclosure and the African rock python enclosure built into it, came in at about 8K.
Yeah.
So not a cheap endeavour.
No, it's not. But and then if you was getting someone else to do it, it'd be so much more, wouldn't it? That's the thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like that. That side of me, that's 6 by 2 by 7, and luckily being in the trade as well, get everything cheaper, and knowing a glazer as well, that ended up costing me. Well, it cost me a lot because I messed painting it up about 4 times. It's got about 7 coats on it. It's ridiculous. But without that, I think that was under 400 quid.
Yeah.
So obviously doing an outbuilding is very expensive, but if you're building the enclosures yourself inside, the most expensive parts are the glass and the ceiling. It. Yeah, they can end up being cheaper, to be fair.
Well, I've been looking on Facebook. I'm gonna go down the patio door route. Get like a patio door in the middle and 2 side windows.
Yeah.
1 big viewing point for both ends.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say too much, obviously, because I don't want to ruin the surprise for everyone. Yeah, that sort of thing. I'm gonna put like bibs around the room as well. So try and make everything heat dependent outside. Keep it 1 set temperature.
Yeah.
Because I don't even need the heating on in my house. It gets so hot.
No.
But
and like I was saying to you earlier, a good thing with the outbuildings is to look into is the aircon units. Pick a decent one up now for under £1,000. Then you're not worrying about when it's too hot, and then it heats it as well. Obviously, when it gets really cold, you'll need some background temperature. But apart from that, you'll probably only need just basking spots. Probably works out. I don't know 100%, but I imagine in my head it's going to work out cheaper running it rather than running a load of Reptile heaters in the background.
Yeah, of course. I will cross that bridge when I come to it. It's a bit of a while yet, but So obviously we spoke about your enclosure with the Aldabras and your enclosure. I take it is that for the peach bit behind you, or
that one? Yeah, is the peach row, and then you're currently sitting on an 8x3x3, which has got the male rhino in it.
Yeah, I love those rhinos. Yeah, they're stunning.
Yeah, they are wicked.
So no, I got a question. This is actually my my partner's question. Actually, said that what's the biggest change you've made to your style of keeping since you started?
Well, it's quite an easy one. When I first started using stats, I had a Viv which had a male leopard gecko in that I bought when I was like 9 or 10, something like that. And underneath the Viv, I had a heat mat with no stat on it in between the Viv and the carpet, and it set alight. Luckily, everything survived, but I woke up in the middle of the night to smoke everywhere. So I think quite an easy one is using stats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
I'd
say
gradually keeping like more naturalistic. Yeah, bigger spaces and more elaborate. Yeah, always use stats, kids.
Yeah. Bigger and less as well is another one for me. Obviously, everyone goes through that stage when they first get into it. Probably they just want everything and anything now. But you go through that stage, don't you? And then you decide what you really want to keep and keep it properly.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like I said, obviously, you said with the stats, I only use stats on certain things that need stats, but I don't really use them. And we lost them again.
I'm still here.
That country living.
Yeah, I don't really use stats for such. Just because, like, I don't know, really. Just I think because obviously
where applicable, you know, like I've got a 500 watt ceramic in one of my enclosures, which definitely is on a stat. But little halogens, and if you've got 3-4 little halogens in a big enclosure.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're not going to use a stat on when it's warm, you know that it's going to be warm in the day, so set a little timer on.
Yeah,
it's going to get hot enough.
Yeah, of course. Like obviously my windows are always open upstairs. There's obviously the black dragon's on the stat because there's so many bit. So but everything else, like the snake is above it. I only go the UV and LED in it, and then heat from underneath that bit goes.
Yeah, heats it up enough, exactly. Yeah,
and then obviously on top of that is the Bosque. So it's hot enough with the halogen in there that it's there.
For sure.
So I just strategically place things around my room, which I mean, like everything behind me is just on ambient temperature with LEDs. So we've got the bullfrog, then snakes up there, which I'm not going to say. The crested gecko, the pack frog, and then someone else is in there as well. But yeah, no, it's just other things that live on room temperature. Like, go back to what you said earlier about like, you know, losing love for snakes. I kind of am losing love for snakes as well. Like, I enjoy lizards more now,
For sure.
whereas my partner enjoys the snakes. So a log ahead.
Something that my mate again, Ethan, said something to me when I was younger that I will always remember. And we actually had a conversation about it the other week. And it's so true. Keeping big snakes is far more enjoyable when people come round. Keeping big lizards is far more enjoyable when you're on your own.
Yes,
It makes so much sense.
Very true. Very true.
That is a true statement right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love my lizards. Like, you know, they're so much enjoyable. Like, I could be at home and then I could be just chilling with my lizards, feeding them, learning about them.
Yeah.
But then snakes, you know, they only want one thing, that's to eat, and then they don't like being handled. You know what I mean? Well, I don't think any reptile likes being handled. That's why I offer choice-based handling.
Yeah.
I think we go through cycles with our keeping as well. Like when I started, it was all lizards. Then I moved into, and then it was snakes for a long time, and it's gradually come back down to lizards.
Yeah, for sure.
These snakes are still in there, but I'm just way fussier with snakes now.
Yeah, definitely.
Snakes that pique my interest now.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of questions that I've been asked on Instagram. So first of all was from a man called Elliot Gooders. So what is the most difficult and most favourite reptile you found to look after, and why?
What, as in that I've personally kept?
Yeah, I guess so. So it says, what's the most difficult and most favourite reptile you found?
Favourite reptile would be the Asian water monitor for sure. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. The hardest, that's a tough one. The one that I've probably had the most unluckiness with would be the caiman lizards, but we've been lucky with these ones now. They're really strong. They're really, really good animals. They've got no problems at all now, but a lot of the time they just come in bad imports and they just don't make it, unfortunately. Probably 95% of the ones that come in end up dead. But now with this import, a lot of them seem to be doing very well. So it's just obviously about getting quality animals to start with, but they can just be so sensitive.
Yeah.
The biggest stressor for me, I think, was I got a rescue Yemen chameleon when I was about 13, female one, and then I had to learn very quick lessons about egg binding in female chameleons. Through that whole thing as, you know, a kid, that was a stressful time.
Yeah, it can be a nightmare.
Trying to pair her with some male, but it didn't work. Yeah, she just basically just went downhill over about years. But yeah, husbandry wise, I think we can roll with punches, take lessons as we go, and then been doing it 28 years, but still making mistakes all the time, still trying to learn.
Yeah. We're always learning, aren't we? That's the
thing.
Like, it's not like a Lego set.
No.
Go back together. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's the thing. And that's the thing about having good mates in the industry. You learn stuff off each other all the time.
That's a good thing. Like, you always learn whatever animal you've got, whether it be what it's eating. You know, if you get to that certain age and it starts like producing eggs, well, you're learning these things. You know what I mean? It's like brilliant. It's always changing. That's what I like about it.
Even from back in the day when I started keeping it, was like, no, you don't need to give monitors UV.
Like, yeah. Standard, yeah.
I always try to give halogens and UVBs as minimum. LEDs where I can. Like, obviously, most of my monitors have got LEDs and bearded dragons, chameleons. It's good to obviously give your animals that full spectrum of lighting,
100%.
The next question, obviously, is kind of going into the same sort of conversation. It was from a man called Henry Chan, which is Reptiles on Instagram. So his question: thoughts on the current landscape of the reptile industry in the UK?
Do you want to go, Josh?
I think it's at a really interesting little junction.
Mm.
I think there's new people coming through that are shaking things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And we've got things like this going on where people are talking, and then you've got that interesting intersection between new keepers and the old school guys that are still around.
Yeah.
And I think if everybody can kind of put ego aside and we can have our community and people can share opinions and we can have open discussion, then I think it's in a really good place.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Breeding of animals, good place.
Yeah.
Sharing of knowledge, like there's so much potential now with all the different media we've got at our fingertips. It's just whether we as keepers can just put the BS aside and
Yeah, for sure.
and actually be more community rather than taking people down.
Yeah, I'm liking I'm being biased as well, but I'm liking the surge in the demand for the higher end lizards as well. Which is definitely.
Yeah, I think that's reassuring as well. Is seeing less, like, because I was working in a shop part time until fairly recently, seeing more of a demand for the high end stuff and less demand for the entry level bearded dragon.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and less clutches of stuff like retics, sperms, anacondas. Realistically, we only need at the most 3 clutches of each. That's probably overstretching it as well, a year to fill the whole of the UK, really.
Anacondas, I think you're probably talking 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's you guys, I don't know if anyone else can actually hear Josh talking, but it may be just my iPad.
It is a bit quiet. It's not as bad, but it is a bit quiet. Are you covering the mic or something?
No. It's just country living, I think. I'm on, unfortunately, on the 4G.
That's fine, anyways. So obviously, like Ben said, there is definitely a change where people are going for quality over quantity as well. And I think that's it's just brilliant. I think, like, you know, people, like, there used to be floods of bearded dragons in shops.
Yeah.
Nowadays you do see them, like in my local shop, like you don't see them anymore, really.
No.
I
think though that's half. It's obviously Brexit in the end didn't end up being a good thing, but that's half to do with that because most of them were coming so cheap from Eastern Europe where people were breeding them like nothing, and then the price went up, so people started breeding them over here. The demand's been filled, and then people aren't really making money off breeding them anymore. So they're not just doing it to make money; they're just doing it because they're liking it. So I think that's got something to do with that as well.
Yeah, of course. So Ben just said if Josh leaves, joins again, it might work.
Okay.
It might work, it might not. We're rolling with it otherwise. But that sounded so rude, but I didn't mean anything. But yeah, no, I think, like, obviously with the landscape of the industry, it's getting better. Like you say, you don't see many Niles anymore.
No, there's a lot of the imports and that have stopped.
Like,
which obviously imports are important, but not to the extent that they were happening.
Like the Bosk imports, they was at masses. You know what I mean? They're thousands. You don't see them anymore, really.
No.
You know, like with the Niles, like I had an import Nile again, it didn't work out. But you don't see them anywhere anymore.
No,
like,
no.
Rescues, but the thing is, where do they all go? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And realistically, now people are at the stage where they're able to breed them. So if there really is a demand for them, there's enough adults left in the UK. Hopefully, well, there should be the amount that came in that someone could put a pair together and one clutch again would do them.
Yeah, but this is another thing. Like, if even to have like captain. Hello, how we doing? Is he back?
Can you hear?
Are you in?
Any better?
A little bit.
Oh, it's fine. So we were just talking about obviously like the imports of like Niles and Bosks and stuff like that. How it's like drastically come down in the industry, which would be, I think it'd be brilliant to, if they were to breed them captively. But I don't think it's ever going to happen.
The supply and thing, like Nile monitors are just generally not great pets.
No.
Yeah, I had
But
one myself.
captive bred ones could be.
Yeah, captive bred could be.
Yeah. There was someone back in the day, well, I say back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago, that was regularly breeding Boss. I think he'd done like 6 clutches, 5, 6 clutches. The name, I can't remember the name. Might have been Liam something. Sorry, I can't remember his name. But yeah, he was breeding them, and he was doing quite well with them in the end.
Mm-hmm. So another thing that Ben said as well, and I think that a lot of people seem to be shooting to keep species that are less popular, not necessarily rare animals, but more niche over your usual pet shop animals.
Yeah, I think people are just trying to diversify.
Yeah, like I didn't even know a sand was a thing until last month.
Yeah, they're cool little things.
They are.
I think the best advice I used to give people is just keep what you like.
Yeah, for sure. Not what other people want.
Yeah, if you really like a bearded dragon, then keep a bearded dragon. But if you don't like a bearded dragon, you like a mulga monitor, then
yeah, exactly. I think Ben owns three mulga monitors. Sorry, say that again, mate.
Keep what's going to hold your interest and what you're going to enjoy keeping.
Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, 6 months down the line, you're going to want to sell it, and then what's the point?
Yeah, like I love beardies. I got one myself, as you probably see on Instagram. I love him to pieces. He's probably he's my first reptile when I moved in with my parents, my missus. And yeah, it was that's how it all spiraled from there, pretty much. With, like, I owned a Nile. I own a Bosk. I own a Black Dragon. I'm more into my monitors now. I think more really smart, inquisitive animals.
They're just the best. They are the best. Nothing beats them, I think. They're just, for sure.
Like, some people say that there's no such thing as an entry level animal, but there kind of is, in a sense. Like, a bearded dragon is not smarter than, it's not going to be as smart. A bearded dragon is not going to be as smart as a monitor lizard.
No, but I get what you're saying. And then I also feel like there, to a certain extent, yes, there's things that you shouldn't keep straight away, but probably 80% of animals, if you really do your research and you're really 100% sure what you're doing, and you've got the backing of people that you know that have kept them or have experience of them, I think go for it. Obviously, there's some exceptions, but keep what you want to keep. And if you're starting off and you don't want to start with a bearded dragon or a leopard gecko, and you want to go into something a bit bigger, something cooler, obviously don't go out and get a crocodile monitor, that sort of thing. But I think there's definitely options that are different that you can go for.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. So I think Ben's just said as well, like, I think whilst that's great advice, a lot aren't aware of the animals actually available. So they start with the pet shop and then they experience the community such. So and then they learn more and more about the animals.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
That's where, though, the pet shops have a responsibility to have that chat with customers and say, do you actually want a bearded dragon, or are you just doing that because you think it's where
that's what you should have? Yeah.
Agreed.
Should you be Euromatics, or should you be looking at macro monitors? Like, what's gonna keep you engaged? You're gonna give it home for life rather than
That's also the importance of brick and mortar shops. That's why we need to keep them going, because otherwise things like that don't happen.
Yeah, definitely. Go on.
Mm.
Yeah, they're important places for us to be able to go, especially when we're starting out.
Yeah.
New.
But no, I think with you know, like the brick and mortar shops, like I've got one near me. I go to pretty much 3 times a week.
Mm.
You build that rapport with the staff, don't you? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, for sure.
you know, like they bounce off you, you bounce off them,
Mm.
and you have conversations about things, and that's where you get
Mm-hmm.
your contacts from as well.
Mm-hmm. We're
Um,
lucky where with me and Josh, we live around some very good shops. Like
yeah.
Josh has got Exotics at Heart near him. In between us is C&T. Kind of in between us is Wrigley's. And if you go a bit further away from me, you've got Cold Blooded.
Oh,
What
that's.
else? Is there?
I'm gonna have to do a day trip around all there then at some point.
Yeah, yeah. There's some unbelievable shops on there. We're really lucky.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace is not that far.
Yeah. I'm going to be going to Crystal Palace in the next month or two anyway, so I definitely.
Mm. God, I've
But
spent some money there.
no, so yeah, like going into obviously you've owned your big snakes like your anacondas, your retics, obviously
Mhm.
your Death Rock. So I want to talk about like if you was to own, I think we've had this conversation already, but if you had a DWA license, which reptiles would you own as such? Like
Mine would be not 100% sure on the exact species, but some sort of dwarf crop, dwarf caiman.
yeah,
Maybe something like a smooth front, maybe a Cuvier's. Do like the West African dwarfs as well. Just something, yeah, I really something that is probably feasible at some point in my life. I don't want to go and say, yeah, a saltwater crop because that's not going to be feasible. But something like that probably is feasible at some point in my life. So it's definitely something I'd want to keep for sure.
Yeah, I agree with Harry there. Some sort of caiman or dwarf crop species, but also Heloderma, Gila
Mm.
monster.
yeah.
Alvarez. If you're gonna do it, Alvarez is the one.
So Ben said he wants a spectacle caiman.
Mm.
Like if I had the choice, if I had nothing in my house and I had one, it'd either be a dwarf caiman, Cuvier's,
Mm.
or I'd go for a black caiman and just have one massive enclosure for out in the garden.
A
A
what?
big
Sorry, you cut out then. What did you say? A
like,
black.
black caiman.
Oh, black caiman. Yeah.
Love black caiman.
Very naughty then. Lovely
Yeah.
though.
Something else though, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I'd have like I've always dreamed of having like one enormous conservatory in my garden, right? And have like an ecosystem like that a life exotic bloke on Instagram. But have
Mm.
or is it Ant Canada? There's like the big Pandora box things where they do
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
but a spectacle caiman it is, but I'd have like the black caiman and have loads of different animals around it.
Mm.
But
Edward,
yeah,
Edward of Zufad, Bostic Howard, he's done a similar sort of thing, hasn't he?
yeah,
He's done a really nice one.
cohabiting animals like that
Mm.
in a small space probably wouldn't work as such because there's no space for these animals to go to. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a dream of mine, like to have a reserve,
Yeah.
like Camp Kennan with his Asian water monitor.
Yeah. Talking about cohab and stuff, the part of the reason I got the caiman lizards is I've always had this dream all through my life of having a massive big caiman lizard enclosure, glass fronted at the bottom, black diamond stingrays, loads of different little fish, and a fire river turtle, and then the caiman lizards. I think that would be the most insane thing in the world.
That would be the absolute boy.
Yeah.
That would be the dream.
Yeah.
Going back to some comments I've missed actually. So like Ben said also like he hasn't been to cold blooded in 15 years. Was like going down a hobbit hole when I first visited.
You'd go there and you just look in on a little shelf up in the corner. You'd be like, "Oh my god, that's there! It's insane."
Yeah. And then like they still had the reptile reserve round the corner when I visited too. First time I got a hand on with adult Burm. But I've never been to all these places, so I'm gonna have to get out there. And
Yeah, the reptile reserve's good as well.
I think I've got like I always do this thing on my birthday week. I just go like on a road trip for my birthday week, like I did last year. I did London Zoo, which was actually the reptile house was closed at that time. I didn't even know about it. Crocodiles of the World, I did loads of places. in 1 week
Nice.
this year. But I forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce that. But someone said Cayman. This is going to do me in now. Latriostris.
Oh, hey, Sam.
Yeah.
He's a really young keeper, Sam Holder.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'll have to check him out at some point. Lost the camera. So yeah, obviously, like with my my dreams of owning maybe like a venomous snake, probably go down the route of like pit vipers. I love like what's the ones that they look like dragons? They got like pointy scales and all that. Do you know what I mean? Them sort of ones.
Oh, they come in like you can see them. They come in different colours, and some of them like a really dark, like reddy, purpley colour. What are they called?
Oh,
I can't remember. Vipers ain't really my thing, so I'm not clued up 100% on them. But I know which ones you mean.
I love me pit vipers, like you said, Manx as well. They're awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd probably kill myself if I had a cobra. Like you can kind of edge a guess when you're. Sorry, say that again, mate. You cut out. Apologies.
At least the cobras are predicted. No one's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. You know, when they hood up, they're going to strike again with like pit vipers. That they're like anacondas. They could turn on a dime and strike. You know what I mean?
Death adders, that sort of thing. They're just ridiculously quick, aren't they?
Yeah. Thank you too. So yeah, like obviously Josh and Harry, this is another conversation I wanted to bring up now. So like you mentioned your white throats as well. So like breeding white throats in the UK is quite a commendable achievement. I haven't seen it done in years. Well, I don't know how long it was. I've seen black white throats. So yeah, do you want to explain like how you done it? I know you've got a pair. But yeah.
Yeah, got yeah, it was in the works for a while. Got the real high white male. And then it took me about 6 months to find a decent female to pair him up with. But it's been a species I've been into since owning my first lizard book. I was like, yeah, and then actually,
like obviously with the high whites and stuff, is that a genetically bred trait, or is it something that you can actually find in the wild?
So my suspicion is that my male is either a different locality of Cape banded whitethroat or not a Cape banded whitethroat, but scientifically there's nothing to back that up right now. So on that one. But yeah, essentially he's a high white Cape banded. The female's high white as well, but he's got a different look about him. I'm not sure why genetically. And hopefully that will get worked out in time.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, like.
And he's a bigger male as well, which might have something to do with it.
Big male for a Cape banded is a big animal.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely got to come and check them out at some point. I do like me. They look prehistoric, the white throats and the black throats. Something about their head shape. That's a fucking.
They use that. They got that big blunt nose. They look quite cumbersome, but how delicate they can be with that snout. Like you can find the tiniest little snail. It's amazing.
Yeah. I've gone on to same sort of thing, obviously breeding and stuff. Like I wanted to just discuss, like we spoke about Uromastics, like you own a pair, I don't know, together or that you own like the Moroccan Flames, which I think like top tier like Uromastic. Like do you reckon they're gonna become the new bearded dragons in say 5-10 years?
I hope so. I really hope so. They're so much cooler, personally.
I hope
Yeah.
so too. I think colours wise, they smash even the highest end of the dragons. They're better looking than that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and obviously they're fully veggie,
Mm-hmm.
which is a plus
Yeah,
for a
good
lot.
thing to get kids into it. If their parents don't want locusts and crickets and that running about, it's a good thing because they're 100% vegetarian. So
Yeah.
Can get you out foraging as well. Is like this time of year, I'm getting dead nettle, ground elder, red clovers, white clovers, bramble leaf, hawthorn leaf. Like that gets you outdoors and gets being a bit creative with duck as well, which is always good.
mm.
Yeah, like I do love, like obviously I got the bearded dragon and he's like a high red translucent back.
Mm.
Love him to pieces, but I wish I would have known about the aromatics sooner. Like they are pretty, but that black and then the orange back is just insane.
Yeah, insane. He's a really exceptional male though. Like a really not being biased because he's ours, but he is a top end male for sure. He's ridiculous.
Yeah. So are they sort of the same?
The thing that could. Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't hear that.
No, are they like the same sort of like UV, like heat dependent sort of temperatures as a bearded dragon, or do they need hotter or
Hotter.
Yeah, hotter basking temperature. Same UV, about 40%. But yeah, higher basking temperatures.
Yeah. So with the bearded dragon, I like to keep mine hotter than recommended. Because it's in like I could trust him enough. I leave the bib door that much, and there's also extra vent at the cool end.
Mm-hmm.
So if he wants to get to a cooler end, I have 75 watt just running, and that's kicking out onto blue plum state. Do you know what I mean? And he's sitting all day. So in my mind, is it hot enough? Do you know what I mean? Like, are we keeping our animals like are these recommended temperatures just because they're guidelines? Do you reckon you can keep them hotter?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense because a lot of the piranhas from similar areas, you'd be keeping them warmer than what you'd keep a bearded dragon.
Yeah, like the recommended heat is like 30 to 40 Celsius for a bearded dragon, but then your say your Bell's face or your monitors, your Mogul monitors, your Aki are kept a lot hotter than that.
Yeah, it's just the important thing with that. I think bearing that in mind is thermoregulation. They need to be able to get away from it. If you're going to give them something like that, give them a longer or a taller viv. So they will use it, of course they will, but they need to be able to get away from it. The cool end's as important as the hot end, obviously.
No, yeah. So obviously he's in 5 foot. So like that end is just one isolated 75.
Yeah.
The other end is completely dark.
Yeah.
Where you could just go to. But I just it's always fascinating me this conversation to have with people because again, like you said, bearded dragons are only recommend a certain heat, but then animals that come from the same area are I don't know whether that's because they live up in the trees. So do bearded dragons though. So it's a conversation that I never managed to have with anyone about it. So
I think we do our best. Habitat's so variable. Like I saw a video the other day of the difference between crested gecko and gargoyle gecko habitat.
Which I want to love.
But in captivity, we keep them the same.
Yeah.
Like whereas you were saying like with the crested geckos, they're in more dense forest areas, whereas the gargoyles, or is the other way around, they're in less dense areas where there's more open space, where there's more light coming from stuff.
Yeah. Which probably means it's warmer, but you keep them the same temperature, don't you?
Yeah.
Keep them the same UV.
Yeah.
Like like I said, some people like don't give them basking spots; they just get UV.
If that, a lot of people still keeping crestings without UV, which obviously is not good at all. But see it a lot.
Some people compress these in tubs. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a conversation for another day. But no. So obviously, like with humidity, temperatures, and stuff, brings us to the next conversation, which hopefully we can have a conversation about this, because I find it hard myself. So obviously, like, keeping the large independent tortoises in the UK, like, is it going to be for everyone? Like, say you go to these shops and they've got like Redfoots, you know what I mean? Then these 4-foot setups with a basketball and a UV.
Mm-hmm.
They're on cocoa chip substrate, but it's not even, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the right way advertising to someone about that tortoise.
No, definitely not.
I mean, I've got my tortoise in a moment. He's just temporary until I get that thing built.
Mm-hmm.
I've got him another Viv coming as well soon, but he's temporary in a 6x3x, and even that's hard to regulate its ability in.
Yeah.
So I think it is hard. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. And the larger the enclosure, the harder it is to regulate the humidity.
but again, you can give a Redfoot tortoise, which is basically the size of a rugby ball, whereas mine is. You can't put it in a 4x2x2 because it's
of course not. Of course not.
So it's hard. I think that if you have space to build out buildings like, you know, Josh has, you have, I think it's more ethical to keep a humidity dependent tortoise, and so because they're quite large as well, Redfoots and Aldabras and stuff like that. So you
Stuff like running water as well. Running water is a good one to keep the humidity going all the time.
Yeah, big pond. But it's tough. Yeah, keep. I think just how many vivs are you going to go through if you're trying to keep something that humid in a viv? Like, viv's going to blow. Yeah, it's not an easy one. Keeping any high humidity animal is tricky.
Yeah, for sure.
That also goes back to the topic we were talking about earlier about like your entry level when you're more advanced species. I definitely think that Redfoots are definitely up there in more advanced species of tortoises to keep. So, like, it was my first tortoise. Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've only had him for like a year, so he was 6 when I got him. He's now 7.
Yeah.
But the previous owner didn't really know what they were doing. It's not their fault, but they were got a bit of a concave shell.
Yeah, a bit of pyramiding.
But his bit of curved shell, his bit of compressed his lungs a little bit, but he's getting there. Like, he loves his veggies now. He eats his mice, his birds and stuff. Try to give him that varied diet, but I've spoken to the vet. It's not really reversible because it's not. Like,
no.
But no. But obviously, go on, guys. If you want to discuss like that topic, I'd love to carry on talking about this for a bit.
Yeah, keeping large humidity dependent tortoises in the UK. I mean, the UK is kind of ideal humidity right now for a lot of large species. Just the temperature off.
Yeah,
probably sitting at about 85-90% right now.
but
yeah, it's not easy. I do quite deep topsoil and sand mix on a concrete floor for my Aldabrans, which is kept. I've wet it once or twice a week, but it dries out so quick. It's not do. And then the building's primarily OSB. You can see a couple of points in the corners that have gone a bit black, just where humidity's up there, 80%, 70%. It's an easy thing, even when the wood's treated. And we got concrete floor and slate most of the way up the tortoise's height on the.
Have you thought of just as you were saying that? I just maybe thought of a little something that you could do. Have like so like how in a like live planted viv, the way you have the lower layer, put pea shingle in the bottom of it, and then when you spray it, the water's going to drop down, and then the humidity will boost back up from that. I'd never thought of that. That's literally just come into my head.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a good shout. Just another expense to add to
and that's the thing. And with our Dabras, are they going to rip that apart? Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
They do. And the weight of cleaning that out as well, like in terms of putting that in my compost. It's going to be weighty. Yeah, it's a lot of substrate that goes into enclosure. And yeah, it is just touch like substrate. You know, the ideal way to hold humidity at lower levels is in the substrate. But if you're doing temperatures right, and it just dries out.
Yeah, it
Dries
does.
out.
It does.
Yeah, that's where having a big pond is. I imagine for your redfoot as well, you've got a good sized water source.
Yeah. So it's basically
having level just
basically it's just low. It's like I say 4 inches deep of substrate. Done big. He just sits on it, but at the other end is just like a shallow bowl with some water in it, and it's
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
deeper you can keep your substrate, the longer it's going to hold the humidity.
yeah. So we're planning obviously in the outbuilding at some point. We're doing probably a foot, 2 foot of straw. Don't want to lose too much going upwards, but we'll get to that bridge. We've got to build the building.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as soon as you've got any height in the enclosure, the humidity thing is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thinking about like proper like industrial misting system and having like
irrigation system, a nice big one.
Yeah, and then have a massive water outside where it would just rain. Get that to come to it. Obviously, going to start wrapping up now because obviously on my downstairs. But yeah, so obviously the last question I wanted to kind of talk to you about was like your breeding projects and stuff like that. Like obviously we spoke about the black white throat, you know, obviously other stuff like that. There's so many stuff you didn't mention. And yeah, I think we may have lost Harry here.
No, it's just going really crackly. I don't know what's going on.
Hang on a second. Yeah, try and mute.
Is that better? Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Say that again, sorry, Ken.
Right, I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to mute myself again. So, do you guys have any breeding projects planned in a near or distant future? I'm just going to pop to the toilet. 2 seconds, we're back.
Yeah, so yeah, the caiman lizards, haven't we? We got that's a definite pair.
Caiman lizard. That's a big one on the bucket list.
Yeah, for sure. There's that. There was a clutch, wasn't there? I don't know who actually had them, but there was a clutch in the UK. Yeah, I just heard murmurs of it. I don't know who's done it, but that would be the first time it's been done. But it'd be very cool to do it ourselves for sure.
Yeah, it's just a dream project there. And then I'd like a little Somalia project in the future, but there's nothing really happening at the minute.
No.
And I guess the big one for us as a team, and he's back. The big one we've got coming is Varanus flavirufus.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a fun joint project.
Yeah, definitely cool little lizards. Well, I say little, medium-sized monitors. They're very cool, very active. Not many in the UK at all.
I hear tell that there's a few coming over.
Yeah.
So there's other people in the UK keeping them as well. It'd be nice to know who they are, to exchange notes, and
yeah, for sure.
Have the little flavirufus community. But,
yeah.
Very much looking forward to that project.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Very, very cool. Very active. What we like, isn't it?
Yeah, active, good looking, bit of attitude.
Be a
nice fun one.
Yeah,
What
for sure.
What about you, Ken? Have you got anything cooking?
I'm not saying just yet. I will be talking about it in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing a video But you may have seen my story. I did a pair of Panthers at some point. So hopefully that takes.
Yeah.
Hopefully she lays. That'd be nice. But we'll see. Obviously, he may just be firing blanks. You know, you never know. Maybe it'll be for nothing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. So it's been great, boys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good.
So if you guys want to plug yourself,
Yeah, just follow us on Instagram. It's under the bottom, Crafted Exotics.
Yeah, and Noshwa at Noshwa on Instagram, at Nature by Noshwa North Market.
definitely go check that out. He's definitely got 3 white throats.
Got a few left, but a lot of people messaging at the minute, so they may be going to take time.
Yeah. Say no more. Boys, hang on a minute. Gonna wrap it up, right?
So,
Cool.
But nice chatting to you, boys.
thank you, mate.
So that has been episode 8 of the Reptile Chronicles podcast with myself, Harry, and Josh. Obviously, buy the merch. Half of it goes to the National Centre for Reptile Welfare. The other half goes back to the animals. Nothing for me. Other projects, nothing much really apart from the Panthers. Obviously, as I just said, stuff in the future. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.